Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Business Stories. I am your host, Dr. LL, Loralyn Mears, founder of Steeris. And today I'm kind of fangirling. Like, I don't do this often. You guys know me, you listen, and I'm doing a little fangirling right now because Patty Aubery has been around for a few decades, helping folks figure out what is their voice? How do they get in front of the right people to hear the right voice and the right message? She's a transformational coach. She's a longtime business partner of Jack Canfield, the Campbell Soup for the Soul guy. Yeah, that guy. And she's been helping people break through, get into their leadership and get aligned with who they are so that their audiences can recognize who they are and what they do. So, Patty, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And congratulations on your podcast. I see it's doing really well.
Thank you so much. And we've got all these doorbells in the background here with all these AI note takers, but we'll talk about that in just a second. So, here we go. So, what I want to dig into is what you've seen. In the course of your career, you've watched thousands of people, right? And you've
Mhm.
helped them transform their lives. But what I'm really curious about is what is it? Is there one thing or many things that you see that separates those people who want to create lasting change versus those people who are inspired but never really get it done?
Yeah, there's definitely something that's different. I think inspiration is sort of, it just happens in a moment and it can leave in a moment where the people that I think that are really committed, there's a consistency to it. And the ones that stay consistent, day in, day out, no matter what's going on, and stick to their messaging, know what they're doing, those are the ones that I've seen really succeed.
As an ADHD squirrel who has reinvented herself a few more times than Madonna has. So I hear that and I think, oh, consistent messaging. I think, oh my God, that's the kiss of death because I haven't done the same thing long enough to really be consistent. I make jokes with my husband. The only thing that he's done for 37 years is work for the same company, same boss, same commute, same role, same everything. But in 37 years, I've lived in 3 countries and 6 states, and the only thing I've done consistently is breathe. So, how do we keep that message consistent when so many people in entrepreneurship are ADHD squirrels and we're attracted to things that are different? How do we stay in that box, Patty?
Well, I think let me just back up for a second. I'll take that back. I think the consistency part is the consistency to show up over and over and over again, no matter what. And your message can change. Hopefully, there's some messaging that foreshadows the change. So, even saying, "Look, I have ADD. I get bored. Squirrels take me down different paths. I see a problem. I want to fix it. That's where I go. The market shows me what's next. That's how I've lived my whole life." Jack Canfield, on the other hand, it's like cross every T, dot every I. He's the tortoise, thank God. So we were a good match, what kind of kept me in check for 38 years. Um, but he's also someone that shows up every single day. He does certain things always the same. Overdo his homework. He's always going to be over prepared. He's never going to show up just like on the fly. And so it's the people that have those types of characteristics, I think, that are just always preparing. They're always ready for what's next. Those are the ones that really survive. It's not the ones that are just sort of like, I'm just going to wing it. I don't know what's going to happen next, sort of thing.
That's actually a good segue for my next question, which is
Hopefully that makes you feel better.
it does because what I'm hearing and what I've been tracking to myself is that this whole adaptability on top of, like you said, consistency, right? The will work. You've got to show up, you got to get it done, you got to do the thing. But there's a component in there of unlearning that we get so accustomed to doing whatever it is, one thing or doing it our way, that way, especially if we've had success with it. But that as times change, as you spoke about here in your response, that if we don't unlearn and then relearn with how those things are changing, we're going to be left behind. Is that fair in what you said?
Yeah, I don't think it's unlearning anything. I think it's being open to constant and never-ending learning.
Mm,
And, if we unlearn something, like I'm never going to say, well, that's not the way I used to do it, because that's a horrible thing to say ever, I think, whether you're a boss or an employee. But it's like if there's a new way, I mean, with AI, there's always a new way. We don't need 10 people anymore to get a manuscript done. We don't have to, link files together the way I used to do it 100 years ago. Now it's just one file. The printer never forgets it. I mean, we've come a long way, right? So most people probably can't even relate to that unless they're over 50. But no, I think it's just that constant, never-ending improvement and always being open to what's possible. And if you're curious, you will survive. That's my theory.
But I think that that is one of the traits, really, like the hallmarks of entrepreneurs, right? We're curious. We want to solve problems and we want to figure out, well, how did somebody else do it? How can I do it better,
Yeah,
faster, cheaper,
yeah,
right? That's isn't, that the path that we all go
yeah.
down, right? That
Problems are
curiosity.
like fun.
Exactly. Although they're a
Yeah.
little head twisting, head scratchy sometimes, but we'll get into that in a bit. So one of the things that you have really anchored so much of your work on independently, and that with Jack, is about confidence. And I'd like you to describe for our audience, what do you think confidence really is?
I think confidence is surviving risks.
Hmm.
It's actually taking action, surviving a risk, not dying, and doing it again. I don't think confidence comes from meditation. I don't think confidence comes from visualization. I think confidence comes from doing it, surviving it, and doing it again. Period. I'm a firm believer. I think I'm proof. There's a lot of things I was afraid to do, and I thought if I just memorize it, if I just study all the experts and the greats, I'll be good and confident. It's not true. I had to get up in front of people and fall over and do silly things and say the wrong things and forget things I wanted to say and blah blah blah, and so on and survive it. I mean, I always say to people, I've never seen anybody's guts on the wall. No one explodes in taking a risk, as long as it's like speaking or writing a book or publishing or something. I don't know about skydiving, but in the line of work that I'm in, everybody survives if they just take that step.
Oh, I love that. So we're actually aligned on that because it's that old Chinese proverb that if you fall down 7 times, get up eight, right?
Hmm.
Like that's the whole
Hmm.
thing we've got to, because as most of us, we've done this. It hasn't been all to do nice steady rise, right? There's some bumps, some
Yes.
falls.
Absolutely. And I think also surrounding yourself with other people that have done the things that you're trying to do. I remember I was writing a book with Jack. It was called The Aladdin Factor, How to Ask for and Get Everything You Want. And he and Mark Victor Hansen had to go do a People magazine photo shoot and they had to leave. And the book was about 3 pages from being done. And we'd been up for about 24 hours. And they
Oh,
said, okay, kid, I was probably 28, maybe. They said, you got to finish this. I said, I don't know if I can. And they said, you can do it. I said, how do you know? They said, because we've done it before and you can do it too. I'm like, okay. So I would say, don't read the last 3 pages of the book if you buy it. Um, but yeah, it's also that having that support of other people that can cheer you on and remind you why you're doing something. Because it's really easy, when we're doing something new, it's easy to get scared. And if we don't have people in our court to cheer us on, then we can be our own worst enemy and we can talk ourselves out of anything as quickly as we talked ourselves into anything.
I want to pull on that a little bit more because really that's at I think the intersection of reinvention and confidence.
Hmm.
And I see, and I'm sure you've seen, this is what I'm curious about. So many folks come to you and say, "Oh, I'm ready for reinvention. I want to do this," but they're so attached to their old identity, even though they've outgrown it. In fact, I've seen some people like myopically fixated on, well, but this is, this is how I've been. How do you get them to shake it and move forward and embrace that risk?
I think the pain has to be so um,
Mm.
like harsh on that old version of yourself for some people, and typically I would challenge someone by just saying, how attached to that story are you of who you've been? And would you be willing to let it go to create a new story of who you want to become? Because here is the truth, the way I see it, and I'm only 61, I don't know everything, but I know a lot and I've seen a lot, is that we make stuff up every single day. We make up stuff that, oh, I'm having a bad day. Oh, I'm fat. Oh, I don't look good. Oh, I'm not smart enough. Oh, I'm not this. We're making this stuff up. So why don't we just make up good stuff about ourselves? I mean, honestly, we are making it up. Would you not agree?
I do. I think it really depends on the day and a collection of circumstances that sort of recently happened that can completely take me from here to there, depending on like, oh my God, I crashed and burned, or
Right.
I went to Trader Joe's the other day, and this woman in the parking lot said, "Oh my God, that is your color. You look beautiful." I'm like, "What?" Like it came out of the blue, but I carried it with me all day, and I felt, yeah, maybe I look good in this salmon colored dress. Like it changed everything.
Well, I think it's true, but I mean, think about this. Think of a photo that you have of yourself from 15 years ago, and you got, and you're like, oh my God, I look fat, or I need to lose weight, or something, you don't look good. You're not happy with the photo,
Right.
right? Look at it today. You're like, I looked really good.
And young. Yeah, I know.
Right?
I'm like,
So it's like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
crazy. It's crazy how we just reinforce things that we don't want to have anymore. So I always say, if you're going to make something up, make it up that will support the where you're going, and just know, like, just act as if you're making it up. Act as if you know it. Act as if it's like fact. Like, yep, this is a fact. I'm just going there, and just do it until one day you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm there. I'm doing it, because it's going to feel weird. I mean, it felt weird when when we got on a tricycle, on a bicycle, on roller skates behind a wheel. When we went to high school, hopefully, if we went to college, it all felt awkward. Anything new is going to feel awkward. So just be willing to feel awkward until you don't. And if you want to still talk about it, then you're probably not my client.
Right. And I think a key part of that, like what you were saying, and like I was saying with my example in Trader Joe's, it's we see ourselves in one way,
Hmm.
again, whatever the
That's true.
circumstances that were, and you're saying like, oh, we get it wrong, and we're judging ourselves more harshly than other people are. We don't recognize how others perceive us. They may see us as, oh, mega success, this, and we're like, oh my God, I can't win at anything. I'm like struggling, right? But other people see, wow, look at her. So
Yeah.
we got to
Yeah.
believe it, right?
Which is why it's important to have people that will remind you that you're wow, even when you feel like you're not, right? And then again, some people think they're all that and they're not,
Oh,
which, is like the narcissist side. So it's just a happy medium. But I think we all need to cut ourselves some slack. We need to stop sweating the small stuff, as Richard Carlson said 100 million years ago, and just get on with it.
amen to that. Now, along those lines, you have interviewed and worked with thousands of successful and mega successful people. So tell us something. We're not naming names. We don't play those games. But tell us something that you've learned about success that the average bear just would never guess.
But I've learned about success that the average bear would never guess. I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, I don't know. I can tell you that I remember the first time I had a book, the first chicken soup book that I ever was part that I had my name on it. My publisher would say, "This never happens. This is really rare. Write everything down. Be grateful every day, and save your money." Um, you know, I don't know. I think success comes when sometimes when you least expect it.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be hard, but it does have to be something that you love. And that's the thing that I think is the most important. If you're trying to do something because you're doing it for the money or for the success, I think it's going to be a lot harder than if you're doing it because you're really passionate about it and you can't not do it.
So I think this is a good entree point then into what you're doing. You've got a big speakers academy and things that you're working on in August. I've heard to the grapevine a few things. Do you want to talk to us about first, kind of what's going on in the marketplace with respect to speaking opportunities? Most people I know have given up, forget about it unless you can pay $100,000 for a lunchtime keynote slot. Forget about it. It's not going to happen. Forget about being paid to be the one to give the talk. Talk to us about what's going on there, and then please talk to us about what's going on with your August announcement.
Well, I think you shouldn't have to pay to be on somebody's stage. If someone's asking you to pay to be on their stage, I think you should say no. There's a lot of ways to look up who is paying people to be on stages within 50 miles of my home. If you're writing a book, if you have something that you want to market, if you're selling anything at all, I think it's really important to be able to speak about that from stage. It doesn't have to be your stage. You don't have to put on your own big, conferences. You can always go and speak at somebody else's conferences, but you have to have a great one sheet. You have to have some great keynotes. You have to probably have a 2.5 to 3 hour workshop if you really want to be able to look at all the different opportunities. And you need to know how to talk about what it is you're going to deliver. And if you go out there and market yourself the right way, and you know what you're doing, and you can deliver a great keynote or a great workshop, you'll get great reviews and you'll get hired to do it again. And I always say, I would rather you get paid a small fee, I don't care if it's $500, to market yourself than to pay someone else that says they're going to market you and they most likely aren't. And there's so much out there right now, like, oh, pay me this much money and I'll market you here, or I'll get you on this many podcasts, or I'll get you this many, impressions on Instagram, or whatever it is. There's no way to know that. And even if they do and they're fake names or their boss or their whatever, you don't know if it's the right audience. So why not craft a keynote to support whatever it is that you're doing? Go out there and do it wherever you can. Even if you start for free, just do it wherever you can, every single time you can. Even when you're scared, most people say public speaking is more scary than dying. But again, you'll only build the confidence to do that if you do it over and over and over again. So you can't do it and then run back and hide under the covers and watch Netflix for 3 years and say, I did that 3 years ago. You really got to do it. And I've just seen it over and over. I see so many people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing, even to promote their book. And I look at that and think, you're only going to get a couple dollars a unit. So first do the math. Second, work with people that have a track record that you can trust, and just get good at what you can talk about, because you can get paid to speak. And then, I mean, if it wasn't for Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen being amazing speakers in the very beginning of Chicken Soup, that book never would have seen the light of day. And I mean that. I mean, only 3% of people at the time went into a bookstore. Although we had more bookstores than we do now. But still, you go into a bookstore, there's a book spine out, all you see is a spine. What's the likelihood of you even knowing about that book? But they were on the road all the time, every week, like literally probably 30 to 40 weeks a year, speaking and telling stories and sharing those stories. And people would say, that's a great story. Where can I get that in the book? And then they'd go to the back of the room and they'd buy it. And then the book would be really, really good. Then they would tell other people, you got to get this book. So it's like, do well, learn your craft, practice as much as you can. If you want to write a book, do it, but do it well. Take your time. Be careful with who you publish with. Make sure it's not just some fly-by-night that's also promising you for 25,000 will publish you. That's ridiculous. Please go to pattyaubery.com and just get a 15-minute call with me. I mean, at this point in my career, after 40 years of doing this work, if I can do anything to help people get the most out of their money and do what's right for them right now. So what is your next step, and how do you connect those dots? Because there's so many people and there's so much information coming at you from every angle. It's like, oh, I'll be in that chapter book, and oh, I'll go over here and I'll do this TED talk, and I'll do this and that. And none of them are great. So there's no one managing you to say, how do these dots connect? How are they all going to come together? And how do they make sense? It's so important in today's world, in my mind. So that's really kind of what I stand for today. And I do teach people how to create a killer keynote, how to talk about who you are, what you do, why you do it, and who you do it for. I want to know why you do what you do. Like, what gets you up in the morning? Why are you so committed to this cause? I'm committed to people showing up, speaking up, and being seen, because I was a professional hider for years. I thought, I'll just be the wizard behind this, the scene, and I'll be the president of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And when people call me to come and speak to 50,000 women in a stadium, I'll say no, because I'm too busy being the president. I was really too busy being a chicken, because I didn't have the confidence to go out there and speak. I just kept doing what I knew I was good at, which was publishing the books. And I didn't have anybody saying, hey, go take this opportunity. You're going to sell more of your books. Because the people I was working with were like, this is great. We're out speaking. She's running the company. It's all good. And, by the way, Jack Canfield's not a mind reader. I wasn't saying my secret hidden, dream is to be on stages bigger than yours. I mean,
Right. You weren't saying that. No, from the outsider's perspective, right? No, but that's the thing. Like I love having these conversations with my guests because people share things that you would not otherwise expect.
yeah,
You're a mega success by all accounts, and you think, what? You didn't want to be on stage? What the what now, Patty? Like, where did that come from? Right?
yeah,
Like no one would have thunk it, right?
yeah.
That's the whole kind of thing. And then look at what you've built here. And so that's pretty incredible to see.
Yeah, and really back then, it was mostly men on stages,
Right.
So for me, if I can get women on stages and they can go further and farther and faster than I did, then I've done my job. I want, like, my daughter-in-law, she works for Kajabi, which is like a big
Hmm.
platform in the self-help field, and I'm always pushing her like, you need to go talk at this thing, and she'll be like, oh, I know, but she's amazing, I'm like, no, you got to go do it. And I'm constantly challenging her, and she's constantly going, all right, if I give her a challenge, she's going to go for it. But that's what I want for all the women that work with me or that are in my life. I want them to show up for themselves, because if we don't show up for ourselves, other people won't show up for us.
I think that comes back and pulls the circle from something you said earlier, and we talked about confidence. Having worked for and with many women who lacked confidence, what they try to do is really squish you, right? They don't want you to succeed. But what you've just said is the opposite. So clearly, you are a confident woman. You're there to help other women raise their level of confidence and be successful. You're not threatened by it because you've had success and you've
Mhm.
got confidence in your own abilities. And I don't think enough women are there. So it's
Yeah,
nice to see.
and I also think too, like, if you're the coach of, I don't know, if I was a big football coach, I would want my quarterback to be the star. I'd want them to be the one to be the first draft pick. Um, so I think we just need to rework how we think of that. There's enough room for everybody. There doesn't need to be competition. There needs to be collaboration, which I think the world is really coming to, and we're hungry for it, especially with all the AI and after
Yes.
COVID, everybody home and we're all kind of sequestered in our own little cubicles. So the more that we can collaborate and the more that we can cheer each other on, I think the further and faster everybody goes. I think it's good karma at the end of the day.
I agree. Talk about collaboration. I have some professor friends. We're part of a national think tank, and I created a new model for work-life balance called the Integrated Life Plan, which is a build on folks, with kids with special needs that have an integrated or especially individualized education plan, an IEP. Well,
Hmm.
I added ICP, career plan, F, financial plan, and W, wellness plan to make an ILP, integrated life plan. And Springer's publishing that next month. And it's through this collaboration that we're able to achieve that. But that said, all the people that are like, oh, I should just try to get a publisher, it would be great. Well, they're not doing all the tons of promotion and marketing and all the rest of this. That was the
Right.
big surprise to me.
Yeah.
I thought,
Well,
oh, they do it all. They're the machine. But that
no,
things have changed.
no. It's crazy. And I'll tell you, Chicken Soup is such a great example of collaboration, because the first book that we did outside of Chicken Soup for the Soul, a second serving, we were going to do a third serving. I mean, it was just going to kind of go on. Marcy Shimoff, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Women's Soul, called, actually faxed and said, I'm in a silence retreat. I can't talk until like for 9 days. Can you guys talk on Friday night? And so we thought, okay, we didn't know what she wanted. She had this idea to do Chicken Soup for the Women's Soul. And I thought, like, oh, that's a great idea. No, I thought, it's okay, but women are already reading it. And Jeff's like, no, no, I think this is something. And then he said, okay, thanks, Marcy. Thanks for the idea. We appreciate it. She's like, hold on, hold on. Last time I checked, you're a man. I'm a woman. And so he brought on Marcy and her partner, Jennifer. That was the first collaborative book, Chicken Soup for the Women's Soul. From there, I was like, gosh, if Marcy did that, maybe I'll do Chicken Soup for the Surviving Soul. My mom had been diagnosed with breast cancer, so I did a book about people surviving cancer, and then I did Chicken Soup for the Christian Soul, and Chicken Soup for the Working Women's Soul, and Working Mom Soul, and Father Daughter, and Golfer, and all kinds of stuff. I did 14 different titles, all because Marcy had this idea that there should be something called collaboration, and Jack agreed. We went on to collaborate with 550 different authors. I had 30,000 contributing authors that sent in stories. those books were being marketed in the pet area. Marty Becker, that was the veterinarian on Good Morning America. I think it was Good Morning America, was the author on that one. Marcy, Chicken Soup for the Women's Soul. I was on Chicken Soup, the Christian Soul. We had somebody else on Chicken Soup for the Golfer Soul, and I mean, you name it, soul. And so we were marketing all these different books and all these different avenues. Had Jack and Mark said, "Oh no, we're keeping this to ourselves," which would have been a totally fear-based decision, we never would have sold a half a billion books. We probably wouldn't have sold 50 million books because it would have just gotten kind of tired. But because we had all these different, areas to go down, all these different genres, we were able, plus we had, at one point in time, we probably had 200 to 400 people out there marketing the Chicken Soup brand. It was crazy. I mean, it was brilliant and it was sort of planned, but not really in the beginning. But it was a collaborative mindset that got us to a billion-dollar brand.
And it's mind-boggling to think actually of the reach of that. And then, may I say, as a breast cancer survivor myself, I just celebrated my 20th
Mm,
cancerversary. So I'm sorry to hear about your
congratulations.
mom and her struggles. It's amazing what some of the science and research has been able to do and be able to help folks out. And I think that the more that people can talk about not just the science, the medicine, but the support, the
Mhm.
philosophy, the faith, the all of that, I think it's really, really important. I think it's a key part of healing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk to us about your August and what you've got coming up here.
So in August, what I do, I have a home in Nashville, Tennessee, and I bring 10 people in at a time. And we spend 4.5 days together where we craft their message, whatever it might be, and teach them how to do a very killer keynote. And then we also put together their one sheet and all their fees and all the stuff that they need to send out to people, like good old fashioned send out and to put on their site of how they can be perceived as a speaker for conferences and keynotes and things like that. I do it with a friend of mine, Adam Carroll, who is great. He's had like, I don't know, 7 million views on his TEDx talk. He's from Iowa. He's like just a good old fashioned guy. I just love working with him. He's really articulate. And we met in, I think, 2012. He went through our certification that Jack and I created for trainers. And that's how we met. And we've kind of come full circle in the last couple of years. So we've trained about 65 people to date on this, doing this. And it's really fun. They come into the house and we hang out, and it's just great. And we do a bunch of stuff to get them ready in the beginning. We do calls afterwards. The group gets really connected. So it's very kind of, I don't know, it's just fun. It's really cohesive, and it's not this big where you're just kind of a number. It's very personalized. So I love it. So we're doing
That's
that in August. Yeah,
gotcha. Well, yeah, that is a nice way to be able to connect and just really get it done because, as you said, there's just so much out there in this era of everything AI. Everything's AI generated. Our bots
I
are
know.
connecting with bots on social media, and
I
here we're
know.
more connected than ever, but more disconnected than ever. And collaborating, I think, well, it depends on what side you see it, but I think less because a lot of people think, I don't need no stinking collaborator. I've got AI. I can do it
Right.
all.
Right. But then you're working with AI, and that's a rabbit hole. I mean, especially if you have
Right.
AD, like 800 pages on Claude, like, oh, I've come up with a new, whatever. But it's like, okay, now what do you do with that stuff? Now you have to go out there and do it. You have to speak it. You have to perform it. You have to, whatever you want to call it, and get feedback and do it again and again and get more feedback. And so that's a lot of it too. It's getting the feedback and, and surviving the risk, like we said, the confidence that comes with that. And it's cool. It's really fun.
Exactly. And I am doing it, Patty. I just did two workshops in the last couple of weeks on what I've identified as the newest threat really to businesses in this era of AI search. It's called misinterpretation risk. And as I see it, used to be Google search, right? It was designed to find time, keywords. You might end up page 8, page 10, page 20. But if the
Hmm.
keywords were there, you'd be found. In the era of AI search, if it doesn't understand what you do, who you do it for, and what your unique value is, it doesn't. recommend you. And if you don't have any trust built on that, like some authority signaling, forget about it. You will
Hmm.
be invisible. And so
Hmm.
I'm excited. I've got that my book, Misinterpreted, is out there. July 13th is my launch. And
Good,
so
congratulations.
thank you. So it is, you got to get out there. And like you said, feel like I love Coach, now deceased Susan Joffers, right? Feel the fear and
Yeah,
do it anyway. And you got to be like,
yeah,
let's
yeah,
test
yeah.
it. Let's see, right?
Yeah,
You
no,
got to
it's
do it. You just
yeah,
got
it's
to.
I think that's principle 13, I think, in Jack's book, The Success Principles, feel the fear and do it anyway. It's true. And it's interesting for me because I'll meet people and I'll say, "So what do you do?" And they're like, they fumble. And so, if
Yeah.
anything, just practice. I always say, like, if one of my brands is permission granted. It's all about giving people permission to show up, speak up, and be seen. Because I was a professional hider. I mean, literally, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. She survived. They said you have a 50% chance it will come back. She said, "I'll just wait and see."
Mm.
It came back like, I don't know, 10 years later. She totally ignored it and ended up going into her bones, metastasizing. And it was crazy. I mean, it was just so obvious it didn't need to happen, but I think she just kind of was done. I don't know. Anyway, when she was in hospice, she said, um, promise me that you won't be invisible. I didn't raise a daughter to be invisible. Stop hiding behind that man. You created
Wow.
this together. And she said, promise me. And I did. And literally like the next, I don't know, 3 months later, I did my first workshop. But I don't want someone's mom to have to die to get out there, you know?
Mm.
It's crazy. And so for me it's just, but that's like, that is my commitment, and I'm so passionate about it. I don't want women to hide. And I know how easy it is to stay comfortable being comfortable. And we just need to get comfortable being uncomfortable, you know?
I was going to ask for a closing statement, but I think that really can't be topped. So I will close though with two questions. One, Patty, where can people find you?
They can go to my website, pattyaubery.com, and that's AUBERY.com. So it's PATTYAUBERY. Everyone spells it wrong. And or you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, but go to my website, check it out, and you can always schedule a 15-minute call with me if you're interested, if you think you want to work with me, if you have a question. If you have a question like, should I go do something else? I don't even care. Ask me. Literally ask me. I will tell you if it's the right time to do what you think you're about to do. If I can save you money, I'd be happy to.
Excellent. Now, again, as a fangirl, I'm going to ask my final question, which I have asked 350 guests in the last few years. And that question is, if we got a chance to peek in that closet of yours, be it Nashville or wherever else, and there was some footwear that personified who you, Patty Aubery, are, your brand, your ethos, just resonating who you are. What are we looking at, and why is that pair of shoes, flip-flops, boots, whatever it is, so you?
Probably what you're gonna find are a lot of Pedro Garcia's, which is a brand that I love. And they're flip-flops, they're high heels, they're platforms, they're everything, but they are really, really comfortable. And you're only going to find me in something comfortable. I am not that high heel pump kind of girl that's going to walk around. And not to mention I'm really clumsy. So whatever it's going to be, it's not going to be too high, but it will be stylish.
That I had figured. That's why I was like curious. Like, what could that question be? And for those that are having the audio experience only, Patty has a lovely like motif, just browns and different patterns on, and some lovely accessories and hairstyle, like perfectly coiffed. So if you've missed out, go check it out on YouTube. And just want to say thank you, Patty, for being here, for being on our show today. And we just
Welcome.
wish you and the next group of 10 folks who are in your August program just tremendous success in getting out there, and you say like in being seen.
Thank you, and good luck on your launch. And send me over the information. I'll send something out for you.
Oh my goodness. Well, that would be very nice. I would love to do that. I will. Thank you
And
very much.
absolutely. I mean, you have to ask everybody you know. Everybody you know should know that you're launching a book, and everybody you know should be doing a mailing for you.
I am in the process of doing that, hitting up my contacts on my SMS messaging and all the rest of it. Like guys, here, the book's coming out on, July 13th. Can you hit it up, please?
Good.
Getting there, but still a long way to go. But your support there would be much appreciated. So thank
Yeah,
you very much.
no problem. All right.
All right, everyone. Thank you, Patty Aubery, for being on Small Business Stories.
You're welcome. Be well. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.